Hello boys and girls, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be talking about the respiratory system. I hope you guys have your notes ready or beside you because they're going to help you understand a lot of the concepts that we are going to be talking about throughout this video, okay? So if you don't have them, pause the video and go get them. They're going to help you a lot. Let's begin then. So, the respiratory system. The respiratory system is this entire group of organs and canals that allow air to enter your body. Okay, before we actually talk about the organs and why we need air, more precisely oxygen inside our bodies, it is important to talk about the function of the respiratory system. What does the respiratory system allow your body to do? Well, first of all, it enables the act of breathing. Why is it important for us to breathe? Well, Mr. McQueen, I breathe because I have the urgent need of not suffocating. And yes, while that is one of the reasons of why we breathe, okay, to not suffocate, how does that work then? How is the action of breathing actually work in our benefit? Well, first of all, you got to keep in mind that breathing is the exchange of gases inside our body. We breathe in and we breathe out, or we inhale and we exhale. Right? What that allows is the exchange of gases inside our body, specifically oxygen and carbon dioxide. Why do we suffocate if we don't breathe? Because our body produces carbon dioxide as a waste product, and carbon dioxide is poisonous to us. So that feeling, that sensation of actually suffocating, all right, is caused because the accumulation of CO2 in your body is too high. Alright, so when we exhale that carbon dioxide and we release it from our body, okay? And in exchange, we get oxygen, which is needed for several functions that our body needs. We're going to cover those later on, and as a matter of fact, we have covered some of them in previous lessons, okay? So then, the nasal canal. The nasal canal is the very first opening in our body that allows air to pass through. Okay, as air passes through, so does oxygen. And what happens in here then? So air enters the nasal canal and goes through this pathway over here. The nasal canal also allows the sense of smell. Okay, and okay, so what is the function of the nasal canal besides allowing air to enter our body? Well, first of all, yeah, of course, the entry of oxygen into our body, but it also captures dust and other particles, and it keeps them there, okay? It doesn't allow them to enter your body. How does it do that? By a group of hairs, those tiny little hairs you have inside of your nose, and mucus also. You know, mucus? That green thing you keep picking out of your nose in the middle of all of my classes. So those hairs and that mucus capture all of these particles, and they don't allow them to enter our body. Okay? So it also moistens the incoming air so that it doesn't damage the tissues of our lungs. The thing about air is that it's extremely dry, and if it's too dry, it can damage your lungs. That's why when you sometimes breathe in too hard and you feel that your throat dries up, it's because of that. It dries up your internal organs, and your lungs constantly need to be moistened. So these are the functions of the nasal canal. Now we got the pharynx and the larynx. The pharynx is this canal over here, okay? And the larynx is this canal over here. They're actually one single canal. It's just that the pharynx is the top part, of that canal, and the larynx is the bottom part of that canal, okay? So as air passes through the nasal cavity, it enters through here, and it enters the pharynx and the larynx, okay? The most important thing that we need to talk about in here is the epiglottis. The epiglottis is a flap made of cartilage that opens and closes to allow the flow of air in and out of the lungs, but keeps food particles outside. By now, you have already noticed that you can also breathe through your mouth. So, your nasal cavity and your mouth cavity share the same canal up until here. However then, how is it possible that air goes through one way into our lungs and food goes the other way? Well, it happens to be that in here, specifically in here, in this part of the cavity, is where your trachea, we're going to talk about that later, separates from your esophagus. Remember that organ that allows food to pass through into the stomach? And how are they separated? Well, most importantly, what stops food from coming into your lungs is this little piece of cartilage in here. Okay, this piece of cartilage opens and closes whenever you swallow. So you got to think about it like this. As you're constantly talking, for example, it is open. But once food is coming into your mouth, your body automatically closes that flap. Okay, and when that flap closes, food cannot enter the your windpipe. Okay, the trachea. What happens when food particles do enter your trachea? Well, you start choking. Has that ever happened to you guys? You're talking with your mouth and you have food inside of your mouth also, okay? And all of a sudden you're choking. Why did that happen? Because you're talking. When you talk and your body opens the epiglottis. When you're chewing, your body closes the epiglottis, okay? You're doing both at the same time, your body might just get confused and open the epiglottis right when you are swallowing. So food particles could enter your trachea. Your body's mechanism of response for this is coughing. So when you cough, you're exhaling air, and that air carries food particles outside of the trachea. But you could choke if you talk too much when you're ingesting your food. So don't do that. Your trachea then. Your trachea is this canal over here, and it is also called your windpipe. It carries air into the lungs. Right before reaching the lungs, it separates into two diverging or separating paths. These two paths are called bronchi, and each one leads into a separate lung. So the trachea is this tube over here, and once it reaches this area over here, it divides in two. One of the pathways goes into one lung, and the other pathway goes into the other lung. Okay, that's the whole function of the trachea. Now then, lungs, all right? Lungs and alveoli, actually. Your lungs are sacs that allow gas exchange. They only allow gas exchange. As a matter of fact, your lungs are only sacs. They're bags, basically. They're like supermarket bags, but made of flesh. Okay? They do nothing else but allow the exchange of gases. The ones that are actually in charge of the exchange of gases are these little, even smaller sacs inside of your lungs, which are called the alveoli. All right, they are the ones that actually exchange the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. How does that happen? Well, the oxygen and the carbon dioxide basically pass through diffusion through the veins that surround these alveoli, and that is how one gas goes in and the other one goes out. Okay. And basically, that is how the gas exchange works inside the lungs. Keep in mind that the ones that do the exchange are the alveoli. The ones that allow or that give a specific place for that exchange are the lungs. Now then, the diaphragm. Alright, the diaphragm, boys and girls, is the last organ that we're going to be talking about. And this one is actually a muscle. It is this muscle over here, right underneath your lungs, okay? Lungs have a particular problem, and is that they can't contract or expand on their own. So the one that is actually expanding them and contracting them is the diaphragm. Is a muscle under the lungs that as it contracts, it allows the lungs to expand. So when it contracts, it actually pulls out, and it allows more space for the lungs to expand. As the lungs expand, they allow more air to enter your body. Okay? As the diaphragm relaxes, it pushes on the lungs and causes them to expel gases. So once it relaxes and it goes back to its original shape, it contracts the lungs. So it basically makes your lungs expel or exhale the carbon dioxide. So let's go over that again. As the diaphragm contracts, it allows more space for the lungs to expand. As the lungs to expand, they allow you to inhale air. Once the diaphragm relaxes, it contracts the lungs. As the lungs contract, they expel carbon dioxide, or they exhale the carbon dioxide. A simple way of demonstrating this is by making a small model with a bottle, a plastic bottle, some straws, some balloons, and another balloon at the bottom. Okay, you gotta cut off the bottom part of the bottle. This balloon over here represents the diaphragm, and this balloons over here represent your lungs. This should be your bronchi, and this should be your trachea over here. So then, how does that work? Well, let's see. As the diaphragm expands, you can see how the lungs also expand, and they allow the entering of air and oxygen into your body. As it contracts, okay, it also, as it contracts your lungs, and it expels the carbon dioxide. It exhales the carbon dioxide. One more time, you can see in here, expanding, so do the lungs. Contracting, so do the lungs. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling. And so on and so on. And that is the process of breathing. Okay, and that is a process of respiration. Well, not actually respiration. Respiration is a whole different process. It takes place inside of your cells. But that is the main function of the respiratory system and how it works. I hope it was useful for you guys. I hope you guys understood. And anyways, if you have any questions, you know where to find me. I'll see you guys around. Have a good day.